Hey guys, this is a what do you think? I just saw this video pop up on my feed that says, "You just lied. Elon Musk slaughters BBC reporter in live interview." I have to watch that. I mean, Elon Musk is one of the richest people. He's got many companies that actually we like. I mean, we like his Tesla, we like his SpaceX. I mean, we got to see this. He bought Twitter. I have to watch this and react. So let's see. What do you guys think? It doesn't matter what you think about Elon Musk. Let's just see what this means. He slaughters a BBC reporter. All right, ready? Everything on? Yes.
Free
Go.
speech is meaningless unless you allow people you don't like to say things you don't like. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. And if at the point at which you lose free speech, it doesn't come back.
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
Well, who's to say that something is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of that?
Oh yeah,
Is
totally.
it the BBC?
And you're literally asking me.
Yes.
Well, no, you
Who
are
is the arbiter?
you are the arbiter on Twitter because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? At the point at which you say that there is this is misinformation, like who is going
But you
to
accept that
decide
misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause
Yes.
real-world harms, that it can potentially cause.
Yes, and the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false. Do you agree that that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes.
Oh, that's so classic. That is so classic. You guys, I agree. Who is the arbiter of what is misinformation? I mean, let's say I see something with my own eyes and I go, wow, I cannot believe that guy punched the other guy in the face. I'm a witness to that. Right? And I put on there, Joe Blow punched Fred in the face. And they're like, I don't think that happened. That's misinformation. We went to Fred's house and he said he never got punched. Okay, that's weird. Why would Fred say he didn't get punched? Is he embarrassed that Joe Blow punched him? I mean, why? Or did they just ask a friend who said, no, he didn't get punched? I saw it with my own eyes. So who is the person that's going to be the arbiter on who is right? Am I right? Or are they right? And he just said, is the BBC going to be the arbiter? The arbiter has put out stuff that was wrong, right? That's been false. And the guy goes, well, I guess in the last 100 years, they might have put out something. Are you kidding me? The news gets it wrong a lot. I had a friend who got in a wreck. He was driving in his car, and this is back in the 80s. A CD fell off his dash, and it fell down below his gas pedal. And he's like, oh, crap. And he's leaning over, and he's like trying to get the CD. And as he's leaning over, he's going like this, right? And he's trying to get it because he's thinking he doesn't want to get in a wreck, so he's trying to grab for it. And he goes off the road, jumps a curb, hits a telephone pole, and it falls down, and all his wires are active, and he's scared to death. And he was like 18 years old and, coming home from work or whatever. And the news comes out, and they're like, oh, first of all, they pronounce his name wrong. They're like, Steve, Johnson, and his name wasn't Steve Johnson, it was Steve Jones, right? Was, racing down the road, and he was doing something, and they made up a story about what happened. And he was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. They completely made up what happened. I told the police didn't bust me or anything. It was it was an accident. Yes, my insurance had to pay some money and blah, blah, blah. But the reporters, since they couldn't get information, they just made something up from what they thought. This kid must have been racing down the road. Looks like he might have went and hit a curb. And they actually printed false information, and it was on the 10 o'clock news. And he was like, I cannot believe it. They're the dumbest people on the planet. So this guy is going, well, in the last 100 years, maybe they've done something. So Elon Musk is completely right. Who's the arbiter of misinformation? Who's the one that tells us it's misinformation? Someone else's information, and is their information, and this person says it's not information. So he can't be that. Oh, this is interesting. All right, go.
Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
what hate
that
speech are you talking about?
No.
I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
Just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, my for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally.
Okay.
But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you
But
see more
personally,
hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of...
Pause. Yeah. Same with Facebook. Have you seen all the negativity on Facebook? Have you seen all the negativity on all social media? There's a lot of negativity. Is that hate speech? He's actually saying, oh, yeah, well, somebody does a slightly sexist comment. All right, let's go. Go.
Those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
Right.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
Well,
saying...
I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've
Right.
asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's
But
why I'm asking for examples.
Right.
Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use... honestly, I
You
don't...
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why, because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
And
said
actually,
you-
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a
my
second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example.
said you
Not
saw
even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
Well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Yes.
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
Then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
really.
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Right.
Well,
That's false.
no. What I claimed,
just lied.
No. What I claimed.
You just lied. You just lied. He's like, you just lied. He literally the hateful content. He's giving false information right now. He's saying this, what is this? Live interview. Reporter in a live interview. He couldn't get out of it because it was a live interview. So here he's giving misinformation about, all the hateful speech. Oh yeah, I've seen it on my feed. Well, give me something. Well, I actually don't use it. Wait a minute, you just said you did see it. You just lied. You just lied to everybody questioning me about hateful speech. Oh, wow. Whoa. Wow. Oh, wow. This, what's it called? It slaughters a BBC reporter. All right, go.
There are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not, I mean, right, and
Literally
you can
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that.
They will not.
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
Well, then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
That's absurd.
I haven't
absurd.
actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on.
Oh, of course
We
we're
only
gonna
have a
move
certain
on.
amount of time.
Wow.
COVID misinformation. You changed
Amazing.
You changed the
Amazing.
COVID misinformation
Has
rules.
BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
Oh, this is so good. What do I say?
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations,
Wow.
and not reporting on that at all?
Wow.
And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it wasn't?
Oh, this guy is getting slaughtered. Slaughtered. How in the world? He's literally just speechless. He doesn't even know what to say. He literally doesn't know what to say. He is part of the misinformation. The BBC is part of the misinformation. And what they want to do is silence everybody else that doesn't believe the way they believe, or even when they're lying. He's saying, do they want to hold themselves responsible for their misinformation, the lies that they put out, or even not reporting on stuff that they should? Wow. He's like, wow, amazing. Phew. Go.
Now, while you've done Twitter Spaces, I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the
interviewing you
BBC?
too.
All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Tell me what you guys think about that. That's interesting. Sorry I talk so much, but I think about it, when I'm watching it. And I have to pause because there's so much meat. That guy gave us so much ammunition against him. And if it was just a watered down video with not the greatest information and there wasn't any ammunition, I wouldn't be talking. I'd be going, okay, well, yeah, that's right, blah, blah, blah. But man, there was so much ammunition. Like the guy was silent. He was like, right. This isn't about me. Can we move on to the next question? Wow, amazing. Wow. Okay, what's the next question? And then he comes back and he's like, right. Like I said, I'm not part of the BBC editorial. I just don't know what to say. I look like a fool right here. What's my name? It doesn't say. It just says BBC reporter. He's a fool. I hate saying that. But that is my reaction. He's literally a fool because he's not thinking logically. He's thinking emotionally and politically, and that is emotional. Politically is emotion, and politics is emotion. Logic is what Elon Musk was talking about. Interesting stuff. That's my reaction. Thank you. That's the first. What do you think? Peace.